Hi, welcome to Comic Talk. I'm Josh. And this is our weekly pull list review for April 6th.
This episode is brought to you by the good people at Sidekick, because every good hero has a sidekick.
Is that me or you?
I have a sidekick.
Oh, you do.
Yeah, I'm a good hero.
Sweet, good job. This week we are jam-packed with titles. We've got 6 comics to review, so we're going to go at them pretty rapid fire. We've got Black Panther, number 1. We've got Batgirl, number 50. It's a big, long one, too. Division, number 6. Suicide Squad, number 19. Archie, number 7. And Dreaming Eagles, number 4. We'll start out talking about the new number 1. This is Black Panther number 1 by Ta-Nehisi Coates and Brian Stelflees?
Yes.
Something like that. And there's also somebody doing the coloring, which we should mention.
Okay.
Laura Martin.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good old Laura. So there's really a lot going on here, which, I mean, it's a number 1. It's definitely a different approach to a number 1 issue. It kind of feels like a number 7, maybe. So we just have a few basic things going on here. Like, he gives us a bit of his backstory. He's the king in what I presume is some African country right now, and he's got a witch problem. Mm-hmm. I assume there's some kind of magical shit happening, and yeah.
This has really strong dialogue and narrative. Very strong.
Super strong. Yeah. Very pleased.
Yeah, it reminds me a lot of what we're getting on The Vision, which we will talk about here in a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's definitely a different tone and a different...
Well, certainly.
Right, but as far as, like, the quality of writing, yeah, I would put it up there easily.
Yeah, now it is kind of a mystery issue. There's a lot of moving pieces. We get little pieces of multiple different people introduced to a lot of characters.
Yeah, really just like the corner pieces of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
It reminds me in that way of like the first issue of the Sheriff of Babylon.
I forgot about that. Yeah,
right? Yeah. Where it's just like a couple pages of this person, a couple pages of this person, and by the end you're like, it was written great. I love it, but what the fuck is going on? right. And I got that same feeling from this, but a totally different like vibe. This is, you can tell Ta-Nehisi Coates loves old school comics, right? You get that Mark Waid-ishness to it in a way where it feels like a big superhero thing, but then it's got this heavy dose of like politics and geopolitical strife and all these other things tied into it.
Yeah, and I really think this is going to be a good vehicle for that sort of discussion, you know, because there's always like crazy shit going on in Africa that, you know, we don't even like hear about, you know, because our country evidently doesn't give a shit. So I'm excited for that. And also, the artwork, I would say, while pretty standard, definitely has its own flavor to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that whole like Afrofuturism is very clear in here. It's pretty cool stuff. The coloring is really nice too. All the blacks and purples.
Yeah, the really shadow work is amazing.
Yeah. Lastly, all the antagonists feel like...
Because there are multiple.
There are multiple, moving pieces here, but they feel like relatable people. Like they're not like cardboard villains, right?
Right.
It feels like you'll almost have Black Panther as one part of maybe a triangle of people who you don't necessarily just immediately say the people in Black Panther's camp are correct and the bad guys are bad. Like
there's somebody very close to him, you know, that's very questionable at this point.
And it's clear that he's sort of bound by his position to maybe situations that aren't so great.
Right, because he is the king of these people as well as Black Panther.
Right.
So he's the sword in the mind.
Yeah.
I guess is the way that they put it. Yeah, definitely I mean, the most cardboard kind of villain that I can think of recently that we've come across was the Irish dude and the Scarlet Witch. Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, none of that shit in this. So, Black Panther #1, recommend it.
Yeah, cool.
Oh,
also, by the way, if you notice, we got the Scotty Young variant.
Haha, Scotty.
Thanks, Scotty. Cool stuff.
My man.
Here's Batgirl #50. This is, Stuart Fletcher, Tar, and like 5 other artists in a big, like, finale issue. I think this is the last one.
I thought he was going to go to 51.
I don't think so. I think this is
It's probably it.
done. End.
Yeah, okay.
Right? This is...
Yeah, the back of it looks like the end of a trade or something where you just get a whole bunch of variant covers.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, this is it. So they are done with this run. Mm-hmm. What did you think? Or do you want to just kind of go through what it was real quick?
Well, I mean, if you're familiar with the story at all, it's just shit kind of wrapping up.
Right.
We did make a joke when reading this because he's hiding out in an abandoned subway tunnel. Like, what are the odds that in Gotham somebody's in one of the fucking 3 trillion abandoned subway tunnels?
Right, it's not even a normal subway tunnel. It's like a hydraulic subway.
Yeah.
It's like a different subway than all the other subways and sewers and everything else.
Yeah.
And they kind of even make a joke out of it in a way, like, oh, by the way, there's another type of subway here. Like, it's kind of fun about it.
Yeah. But yeah, she just goes after the fugue and,
Well, and she puts, like, the whole cast together.
Yeah. Everybody's helping out.
What's going to be Batgirl and the Birds of Prey, right, moving forward, I suppose this is setting that up as well.
Nick's Black Canary's in it, too, so absolutely.
I would say it's kind of a bummer that this feels like a bit of a move away from what we've had through the rest because all of a sudden it feels team booky.
Yeah, I thought it was a pretty weak issue overall, and it was so long too.
Yeah, it didn't feel like we needed a lot of it, and it just like this is the finale for this Batgirl of Burnside. It's done now, and the last issue spends most of its time with other characters, which was kind of weird to me.
Yeah, well, they got to set up the next. I mean, that's kind of how it goes. It's, the old wrestler putting over the newer wrestler.
Right. Well, and in a way, it feels like maybe they're showing that it's time for her to step up and, look, she brings everybody together and she has a new role of being like a leader of a whole group of women. But I agree, weak issue overall. It does okay wrapping it up, and it'll, in trade format, if you pick up, Volume 2 or Volume 3, I guess this will be.
Number 50? Oh, dude, that'll be like Volume 9 or something.
Well, but Volume 3 of the Batgirl of Burnside, like when these people took over and changed the story and all that from whoever had it before, Gail Simone or somebody maybe, I don't know. So this last volume of it, I think as the end of that, it'll feel a lot better, but picking it up and reading it is like, this is the last issue of this I'll ever read. A little bit of a bummer to me. It's not bad. It does an okay job, but...
Yeah, it probably could have been a $2.99 book and still accomplished everything that it needed to accomplish. But there were some little things that I like these super Street Fighter scenes. Where, there's like a million of them. This person versus this person. Yeah.
Yeah, some fun stuff, but just not great. It didn't knock it out of the park for a finale.
No.
Just was a finale. Cool.
It's okay.
Yeah, it was fine. All right, next we have Division #6 by King Walton Belair.
This is really about P versus NP, which is, so P is like if there's a problem and you can shortcut it some way to get to the answer, and NP is if you have to exhaust every possible answer to get the correct one.
Right.
Plug and chug.
Basically searching through the dark for an answer. Right? And it's related to the human experience.
Exactly. And them trying to understand the human.
Right. I think this might be the strongest issue yet.
It was pretty fucking good.
It was really good.
Yeah.
And we end up seeing a glimpse into like what's happening, like the last page here gives us, instead of like a big shocking moment necessarily, it is like a big reveal, right? Which I thought was cool, but...
And it's like some shit that, you had to see coming at this point. Like, shit was gonna hit the fan, like, outside of them eventually. Yeah,
so I like how everything's fallen apart, he figures out what's happened, you know, and we get this whole like back half of this issue that's him just deciding that rolling in the mud is how to be human. Mm-hmm. Like he's come to this conclusion that like fucking up and lying and putting yourself and your family above everyone else is human, which is a weird, like a really cool dark turn.
It wasn't only that. The vibe that I got from it was more like it was whether to pursue this answer to this theoretical question or just like give up and say, well, I can't figure it out.
Right, true.
And his take on it was that people every day wake up and are like, I don't fucking know what I'm doing anymore, but, you know, I just got to keep on doing it, you know, and like,
just still got to go to work.
Yeah, eventually something will happen, maybe, but I don't know what's going to happen, so I just got to keep going with it and see.
Right.
And that's the resolution that he made. Like, you know, he doesn't know the answers that he needs to know, and he doesn't know how to get them, and he doesn't know if he's ever going to get them, but he doesn't have shit else going on, basically.
Yeah, it's a great book, and there's a lot of great symbolism too, with their house being literally in shambles, like completely destroyed. You know, and everybody else walks in and can see, right? Like they have a visitor, and he comes in, and he's like, "What the fuck is wrong here?" And they're still trying to just be like, "Oh, we're redecorating."
Yeah.
You know, they've completely fallen apart, and they don't realize necessarily how far down the rabbit hole they are. Really cool.
Yeah. I wonder how a machine would perceive those kind of things. Because like a house in that state is just like, oh, well, you know, you got to pick it up and put it back together.
And houses are messy all the time.
Yeah.
Know? I mean, they're so ordered, you would imagine in their mind that a messy house is a messy house. You know?
Yeah, sure.
A lot of great stuff in this issue.
It's really hard to touch on it all. Like, there's so many things that I want to talk about, but we
just read it instead.
Just read it. Yeah, it's good. This whole series has been good, and this is no exception.
Yeah,
I don't think there's been a disappointing issue so far.
Not at all.
Yeah, this is number 6.
And I would almost say each one is either as good or better than the last. It just keeps getting increasingly good.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right, let's hop over to our other DC book. This is Suicide Squad number 19 by Seeley and Ferreira.
They're fighting the Fist of Cain people and figure out that they can't escape the place that they're in and decide to band together.
Yeah. So I would say the overall story here, in my mind, is less than great. It's kind of a cheesy premise, like Battle World, Planet Hulk, Fightland versus thing, right? But the actual like interpersonal dialogue and what we get out of that, like out of this kind of forced scenario, is actually pretty good.
Yeah, this is like a weird hot and cold issue for me. Like sometimes when I was reading it, I was like, why the fuck is this on our pull list? Like it's not in the same caliber. Yeah, it's just not. And then other points I was like, there's something to this. Yeah. You know? So yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, it feels like it could get some steam here. I really like the artist on this. I think he's a good improvement. It's a lot
less hyper digital.
Yeah. It looks like somebody's drawing it again, which is nice.
And there's some like variation in the coloring and stuff, and yeah, it's cool.
It's got a good look to it.
Again, I'm not super into fight scenes and stuff, but these are like super well portrayed fight scenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they're pretty cool.
Yeah, there's a couple funny moments towards the beginning too, which is nice.
Yeah. The middle section with Amanda Waller talking to Hunky Punk, I could have done completely without.
Yep.
I felt like that whole section was way too expository. Just like 2 pages of her telling him in order to tell the reader who he is that we didn't need. I don't care. She could have just said, "You're the supervillain, Hunky Punk. Move on."
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Okay, great. I don't need his like whole backstory in 2 full pages of like 800 words. It was so much.
Yeah, I don't know why people like to do that Jeff Jonesian shit where they just do like straight on the nose for pages in a row. Like if we'd got all this information within the next like 4 issues and kind of pieced it together, I think it would have meant a lot more. Because just reading this, like it sounds lame as fuck.
Right.
You know, like he's some British dude who had a fucking accident and now he has like these powers and you know, these were his villains. And there's just no point in this where you even begin to give shit about
him or have any interest in him as a character.
Yeah, well, I had a little bit of interest in him as a character just because he was super weaselly and stuff before. Mm-hmm. But then it's like almost like a straight turn. She's like, you're this person, and then all of a sudden he's
muscle guy,
right?
Picking her up and slamming her around, with his rippling abs. You know, it's silly. I agree. You know, I think a better writer could have used his whole story and like you said, had whole segments of comics where it just goes and shows his backstory and how he came to be where he's at currently.
Or just alludes to certain shit. And then when you get the reveal, you're like, oh, that's what that was fucking about. Yeah. You know, like 4 issues later. But
yeah, he's not just some Weasley dude.
Yeah. No, we just get a couple of Jeff Johns pages.
It could be Rebirth that where they had to figure out a way to retool this story and put it together. But it was okay. It's not great. It's fine.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Another fine title for the week.
A lot of fine ones. Let's move on to Archie number 7. This is Mark Waid and Veronica Fish.
Reggie has gotten in good with Veronica's dad. And no, it's not Veronica. Is her name Veronica?
Yeah.
Yeah, Veronica's dad. And Archie's trying to undo that.
Yeah. So I felt like this issue was really in close to the characters. All of the humor, and especially the humor, was all very soft or understated humor. It was...
Yeah, you had to catch it. It was like just little things here and there. Like Jughead trying to sneak into the little pie thing.
Yeah, trying to sneak
like, no!
Yeah, and I feel like that was actually one of them I was going to specifically mention because I felt like it sort of encapsulated most of the humor and jokes in this. In that, it's easy to miss until it's over. Mm-hmm. Then you catch it kind of at the end, like where the joke was going or how it was being constructed. And it's not just from the writing side. It's on both ends. There's tons of visual humor from Fish's side. This is an issue that if you read quickly, you don't pay much attention, it feels just like a classic Archie
flat
thing.
Done. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, but if you take your time and really read it and pay attention, it's really well crafted.
Yeah, it's got some good shit going on. And also, I mean, I have to credit Wade for this because it's not just the character, but his version of Archie has got to be the most endearing son of a bitch that has ever graced print media of any sort. Like, you just can't... I want not to like him at several points because he's fucking Archie, dude. He's lame, whatever. But he's not, you know.
Yeah, he's a good dude.
He's a super good dude.
But I agree on that end, but I also think that Fish is starting to get to the point where she's a huge influence on me in that way.
Yeah.
She does so many little things with him that really just make him endearing. Like the scene where he's climbing down from the tree, and she just does this beautiful thing where he's looking this way and reaching for the branch, and you see his hand closed, and he's looking this way, and then the next frame he's falling because the branch is up here.
Yeah.
And she does that on so many panels. It's so many times through here. There's these little soft moments that work from panel to panel just so beautifully. I really liked this issue a lot.
Yeah, me too.
Cool.
Yeah, it's kind of, I mean, we liked Staples showing movement and everything, and I think she's almost like taking that to another level.
Yeah, she's actually kind of toned it down and made it more subtle in a way to where it's really you're pulled into the character even further, whereas with Staples it was more hammy.
Yeah.
It was more like in your face fun, whereas this is a little softer.
Yeah.
And makes the characters more endearing.
Yeah, it's more mature, which is like a weird adjective to give it because, it's a book about teenagers and stuff.
Right.
But, yeah.
It's good. I like it.
Yeah, it's good.
I like this one more than I like the last few, and I've liked all of them. All right, we've got one more today. We've got Dreaming Eagles number 4. This is by Ennis Colby Callies and Steen.
The story continues. They get some shiny new planes. They get a politician coming through trying to secretly fucking ruin everything, but they're onto him.
On my little note card that I have here, I wrote, still good.
Yeah.
Yeah. This, if you've been reading this, you know what you're getting into at this point. You know what it's going to be. And I feel like we get more of the same, but not in a derogatory way.
No, and I mean, it's a limited series. We have 2 of these left, and so they can do things like that. They can leave the tone and the storyline very, very serialized, here, this point, and then this point, and then this point, and the art's all very cohesive, and yeah, it works perfect.
Yeah, it's really well constructed. The art continues to be fantastic.
Yeah.
There's so many scenes that are thrilling or breathtaking, and I'm for real,
yeah.
Ooh, man, that's cool.
You turn the page, and then you do, the once-over where you look at all the art, and then, you read it, and then you do another once-over where you look over all the art again.
Yeah.
It's that kind of book.
Yeah, it's really, really well done. And it's a historical drama about some fighter pilots. What do you...
Yeah, I'm not super into historical fiction usually,
yeah.
I guess. This is tight.
Yeah.
I like it.
Very cool. And the characters just come through so well. I really connect at this point after 4 issues with the protagonist in this story. It's
not to mention all his buddies and stuff that I mentioned, which they've always been just part of the story, so it's been kind of a process getting to know them and stuff. Whereas the protagonist and his son, I feel the first issue we got a pretty good feel for who they are, but. Yeah, it's getting to the point now where I recognize certain people for certain things.
Right.
It's always talking about that guy again. And,
right.
Yeah, it's nice.
Yeah, I also like the subtle change in dynamic as the issues go on between the father and son. It really helps pull you through the issue to see them warming up to each other as he's telling this story.
Yeah.
At the beginning of this issue, on one of the first pages, they crack open some beers and clink, and it really, that as compared to sit down, I need to tell you a story, at the first issue, it really helps you feel time progressing, on the porch over the course of the night, which I think is really cool.
He still hasn't gone to the bathroom. He's going to have to go super bad after he finishes that fucking beer.
Yeah.
One more part that I really liked in this is when the politician was talking to him, and he's saying, don't you feel a little bit ripped off, you're getting this stupid shit and you're going and fighting for people who may or may not give a shit about you, probably don't, realistically, and they're America can change, Germany can't.
Right.
Which obviously Germany has, which is nice and everything, but it really speaks to probably what the mindset of a lot of those soldiers was at the time, yeah, America sucks right now, but fuck Germany, dude.
Right, yeah. Well, and like they say in the issue, they're letting us fight, right? I really, for the first time, could understand this idea of the black soldier. To be honest, it's always been something that's perplexed me a bit. Why has there always been this history of black men fighting, for the U.S. when they've historically been treated so poorly? And this is the first time where I've seen it very simply laid out that makes me go, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
It's because they were allowed to. You're going to let me fight next to you. Okay, let's do this.
Yeah, yeah. But in a culture with so much segregation and shit at the time, to be just included, in everything, that was really a step forward. So it's weird to think that the military was almost one of the more progressive government agencies at that point,
Yeah, interesting, huh?
Very interesting.
Yeah. Good thought-provoking series, which a lot of what we read this week was. I really enjoyed this week of comics. Good stuff overall. Yeah.
Definitely.
Cool. Well, that wraps it up for us.
Yep. Yeah.
Yeah. Do we have another sponsored? Aren't we supposed to do 2 of those?
Yeah, that's right. So another shout out to our corporate sponsor, Sidekick. Again, all the best heroes have a sidekick. Don't you want to be a hero?
That's right.
Just jump on the bandwagon and get yourself a sidekick.
Click the link below.
It's a masterpiece of modern ingenuity. So hit me up on AOL Instant Messenger on your sidekick.
Fantastic.
All right. MSN, it's got both of them.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
It's got both. You can choose.
Yeah.
Whichever one you're more familiar or comfortable with from your home computing platform.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, very cool. All right, well, that, again, wraps us up. We do this we shoot it on Wednesday, but you get it when you get it. And we also, every Monday, we have a separate thing that we do where we review trades. We talk about bargain bin stuff that you can pick up real cheap. We talk about the industry. Just last week, we talked about DC Rebirth and what we think of that. I'll stick it right there.
That was a good one. You should catch that.
It was a good one. You should watch it. And then next week, we're going to talk about Grant Morrison's Nameless, which is a crazy LSD mindfuck of a comic.
Imagine that.
Yeah, nobody would have expected it.
Yeah.
So we'll talk about that on Monday, so you should check back for that. And like and subscribe so you can, see all the shit that we talk about. And it makes our numbers bigger. And
I like big numbers.
That's like the whole point of this is bigger numbers.
Yeah, bigger numbers equals more sidekicks.
That's right. The corporate sponsorship.
Yeah, we were sponsored by Sidekick.
Thank you, Sidekick.